You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, huge shout out to our sponsors. The Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is the Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma. And it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. A huge shout out to Governor Anatobi for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. Adding to that is the Doghouse, and so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC, and hopefully our pups will run into each other. What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike and here, host, back with another episode. We're down in Midtown today. It gives me great pleasure to return introduce, there's the word, to introduce two former guests to the podcast, but they're now working together, which I love. And I've been waiting a year to do this podcast because it's been so good to see you guys, your success, you thrive, and I knew it was going to happen from day one. So glad to put you guys together. I think I remember walking into a coffee shop in Edmond and seeing you two sitting there working on something. And I was like, that was before the announcement. And I was like, hang on a second. This is going to be sick. Let's go. It's going to be so good.
It's cooking over here.
Yeah, right. I haven't seen you guys in forever. And I was like, shout out to Evoke. Great coffee.
Yeah.
And you were just like hanging out. And I was like, hang on, there's something coming up. Well, I am here for it. Let's do it. So, yeah, Allie, welcome back to the podcast. Michael, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks.
For people who might be, new listeners, it's been a while since you've both been on. Let's do a little intro, kind of a little bit of backstory, and then we'll get to Old Pal and talking about what it is that you guys have spent the last year doing. But whoever would like to go first would like to give us a little bit of a intro and blurb about themselves.
Yeah, well, I think last time I was working or on your podcast, I just started Tallgrass, and I was also doing marketing for some businesses down in the stockyards. And so that was the last time we interviewed. But before that, graduated from OU, studied business management, was doing wedding photography for a couple of years, just freelance. Eventually started taking what I was learning in marketing, helping other local businesses. That's where we ended up. And then since then, I started getting into working in different agencies. And so Tallgrass was growing, focused on that, but also started working in marketing and advertising agencies locally, and then a little bit in Austin. And so that's what I've been up to since the last episode. And yeah.
It's been a while.
It's
There's a lot can change in 5 years, right? There's a lot of things. And even back then, I know we were talking about SEO and just kind of, what you were focused on and Facebook ads. And it's amazing how that world has developed in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's changed even.
You've always kind of had your hand in it.
Yeah. And it's crazy even how much those things have changed. Like 2020 was like a heyday of everyone had government stimulus money, and like Facebook ads were so easy. So like there were so many, man, it was like the Wild West back then. But yeah, a lot has changed since 2020. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, since we were just trying to nail it down.
I think what it was for us.
Okay,
Yeah, so
2022.
Yeah.
I was kind of in a breather moment last time we talked, but I feel like my story gives people whiplash. I basically grew up in Snyder, Oklahoma. After college at Southwestern, ran off to New York to model for a little bit. Took another job that let me live in Bali and then Mexico, and it was wonderful, and I got to see a lot of the world. Landed in LA after, I got Sports Illustrated, and then
just a small
Every-
little thing.
I got
Casual drop.
You know, yeah, casual. Nice, Allie. Yeah.
we can dig into that more in a minute. See the whiplash thing, but
Yeah.
but that was kind of the advice that I got from everybody when Sports Illustrated happened was like, you need to be in LA, like swimwear.
Yeah.
You need to go to LA, and so I moved to LA. And I had started Bissy alongside my swimwear company, alongside the Sports Illustrated momentum. Took that with me to LA. Was there for a while, and then in 2020, COVID stuff moved me back home. I like got in my Jeep and drove back to Oklahoma, and that's when I met my lovely husband Dusty. And he asked me if I wanted to go ride on the tractor, and I said yes. And then we got Brahms and got married, and now I live here. And
Just
then
the best.
then Michael and I reconnected. Gosh, like that's been almost 2 years ago, I think. Oh, for a tall grass shoot. I was trying to
That's
do.
right. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Down at, you guys went down to Wichita, right? Did you not in that
It was
lake?
the Quartz Mountain.
Quartz Mountain. There
Yep.
we go. Yeah.
My mom lives in Altus, and so I just think that area is so
It's beautiful.
it's so stunning. And those pictures still are like, we have them framed in our house, but they
Yes.
people are like, that's in Oklahoma, you know, and I'm like, yeah, it's a gorgeous beach actually there over at Quartz Mountain. And so
Yeah.
anyway, so we collaborated. I was missing the whole creative outlet that Bissy was, because by that time it had been closed for a few years. And I love shoots. I love the concept of creating and creative directing a photo shoot. And so anyway, I was like, we could do this for tall grass. Why don't we do something with Dusty and I? And yeah, it turned out really cool.
Yeah.
And since then, this just came to me too. The day we recorded in 2022, you told a funny story about there being a bee in the Jeep on the way down. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It's just, I don't know why that came to me, but I was just like, you came in, you're like, you never guess what just happened. There was a bee in the
It was
car
the entire
whole
way down from
here.
Tonopah. Somehow I have many stories about this, but I'll like grab an insect on the way down from Tonopah, and then I have to ride the whole way down in my Jeep with this bee. And so I remember I was trying to like swat it while it was driving, and I eventually had to pull over. And like I was like, I'm not dealing with this.
That's probably
stuff.
what it
Who
was,
knows
because you
what.
might have been a little late, and you're like, I'm sorry, I had a bee issue.
I did. I pulled over several times because I couldn't get it. There was also when I was getting picked up for Sports Illustrated the second time, I
Flex.
got okay. Well, I was in I was in New York the first time, and then the second time I was in Oklahoma. Right, so a very different experience. Like very different experience getting picked up, getting to go to the shoot, whatever. And so they pick me up and they arrange like a black car service to come grab you, and it was way before daylight, super dark, and this guy comes and grabs me from our farmhouse in Tonopah.
In a black car.
And I know the entire way down that road, because it's like a mile and a half down the road, and it's like
Gravel road,
you know?
yeah.
And so he's going to grab me, and he gets there, and I could tell he was just already hacked, you know. And it's super dark, and it was the summer. Do y'all remember when the mosquitoes were just like crazy around 4th of July, like a particularly bad season? Whatever, imagine, okay? And maybe it was just around
Out in Tonopah, yeah.
it was like you couldn't. We watched the fireworks inside of our truck. Like it was, they were bad. And so this poor man, he does what he's supposed to do, which is like open the door and the trunk and stand outside of the door and like welcome you in and help you. That they filled the inside of the cab, and I was just like, I'm so sorry this is happening. And so we're driving back down. He gets me in, and he's like, I'm telling you, just like, it's okay. Let's just like get in. You don't have to. Don't be formal. Like, let's leave. And so we get in there, and he's swatting the bugs as he's driving down the road, like hitting all these bumps. And I was just like, oh my God, this is such a different experience. And I do remember him quoting the country ass bug thing as he was driving.
Yeah.
It was like, you know.
Is that was that famous interview with that guy?
Exactly.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
He
was just
the camera cuts. He thinks he's not live, and he's still live.
No, that was literally it. He was just like swatting like country ass bugs. Like, he did not want to be there.
Oh, that's going to be in a movie at some point, right? You have to recreate that scene somewhere.
It was special. And it marked a very different time in my life, for sure.
Absolutely. Two worlds colliding right there. The other thing, that you've opened up a Hotworks since then too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, franchise world is very different.
Okay.
But I really like it. As far as like after Bissy, you know, with Tallgrass, when you're like building everything from the ground up, you're creating the structure, you're creating the creative, you're creating like everything is you and or your team, y'all. And I wanted something that was just like, here's the recipe, go cook it. You know what I mean? I wanted somebody to say, these are the statistics that you need to know. These are the details on where you need to be. I wanted guidance for this one. I just wanted something that was going to be, laid out a little bit for me. And it's been really wonderful. I've got an amazing management team there. And after maternity leave, I got to kind of it forced me to not be there with my hands in it as much.
Mm-hmm.
And now they just ran with it, and it's been great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. How does this happen? Where does Old Pal start? You mentioned that photo shoot. You guys got reconnected. And obviously that photo shoot is a pretty pivotal moment. The photos are great. They're still in your house today.
They sure are.
Let's dive into that and the beginning and the birth of Old Pal.
Well,
How'd you guys meet?
We met like 5 years ago. No.
Oh, man.
The other day I did some Allie math. I just like add and subtract things, and it doesn't really always make sense. And I was like, we've known each other for like 15 years. And he was like, no.
I was like, man, we're
not
getting
45. We've known each other for probably like, 9 years maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
big difference.
Times 10. I don't know. We met each other when Michael was doing photography stuff. I was early modeling. So that was the origin of knowing each other. And then I think we just kind of paid attention to one another on socials, and we both like to do cool. We love Oklahoma. And I think that just kind of kept us paying attention to each other. And, the photo shoot, I mean, I told you, I was wanting to create some stuff, and I think tallgrass is so cool. Dusty's like the biggest tallgrass fan in the whole wide world.
Yes.
I'm not kidding. We just ran out of some soap, and he was like, what are we going to do? I was like, well, work some more. I've heard him in the other room, like telling his guy friends, like, you've got to get these candles, man. Like, he loves tallgrass. So anyway, that we admired the brand, and I wanted to shoot with you. So that was how we got together on that.
Yeah.
And then we started talking on set that day.
I feel like we were talking a little bit about why some of these opportunities you were getting weren't happening in Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, because they wanted it to look like Oklahoma. Everything that they were creating was like they were struggling to find. I was fresh actually off of a shoot where they were like struggling to make it look like a farm. In California. Like, not that California doesn't have farms, but they were struggling to do that in the LA area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're hiring Oklahoma photographers and models, and you're trying to make it look like Oklahoma. Just come shoot in Oklahoma, you know?
Yeah.
And that was part of the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think that was something that I had in my mind before even that shoot. Was I knew I wanted to do something similar to Old Pal, but I knew, like Allie starting Bissy that aligned a lot with the vision I had for Tallgrass as far as like what's a different take on Oklahoma. Like I think starting a swimwear line, that's not the easy go-to. We're going to be in a beach in California or Miami, but we're going to do it in like our, what do you call it, like pastures. You did something like your old high school gymnasium.
That's my favorite shoot.
Like,
that's what I'm going to bring that up in a little bit for the Olympics. That was great.
The
photo shoot from that.
Yeah. But so I knew she had like a very similar like perspective, and it's kind of rare, right? Where like people will go out of state, they'll move, and then to still have that wanting to build here, like, I feel like that's, I don't know, just don't see that very often. So
yeah,
it
reminds me of For Us By Us, right? You remember that?
What's it called?
For Us By Us.
I don't think it
Or
is.
FUBU, For Us By Us.
Oh yeah,
FUBU clothing.
Yeah.
Right. I can't remember the guy who did that, but it's like, you're proud to be from here.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone, whether it's with people, obviously now the movie business is figuring this out, like, with Twister and all the success that, the studios have been having. But, it's, and you've always been called this, we've always referenced flyover country, right? In the interviews and the chats that we've had, whether it's content or not, but like it's people still sleeping on this place.
Yeah.
And, you talk about the ecosystems we have here and the amount of opportunities to do as photo shoots and, you find a beach by Quartz Mountain, right? Like all the things, like it's possible to just drive within a few hours and find these beautiful settings. But also there are people here who are super creative. And I think like yourselves, they've come home, right? Maybe they left for a little bit like you and then they've come home or they've traveled, but they've realized that like, Oklahoma is like legit, and we don't
Yeah.
yeah, it's great to travel and get that experience. We don't need to necessarily
Yeah.
go to LA or go somewhere or, and have these backdrops.
Yeah.
'Cause you
Yeah,
have
well,
it
and that
here.
home deserves the same like admiration and hype.
Mhm.
I think being away made me love Oklahoma so much more, and I've always just loved the
Yeah.
state. But
Yeah.
I remember very distinctly being like, okay, I'm ready to be back with my people,
Yeah.
and ready to root for and like amplify this space from here.
Yeah. Michael, and you've always been a storyteller too, right? So that always dives into, it kind of aligns with everything you've done with stories
Yeah.
ever since I've known you.
Yeah. That was one thing, like working in Austin. I got to kind of rub shoulders with the people working in the brands that I always admired, right? And then you kind of get an idea of like their perspectives and ideas. And a lot of it, like Texas has a lot of great things going for it. Obviously, it's on a huge wave right now, but I was like, man, there's so much untapped stories
Yeah.
in Oklahoma. And I think people crave authentic stories. So yeah, for me, it was like, that was a lot of the inspiration for Old Pal too, was how do we create bigger opportunities here to tell those
Yeah.
stories and be a platform
Yeah.
for people that, might not ever have that same kind of spotlight as you would if you're a maker and outside of Austin,
Yeah.
things like that. So
Yeah.
That's why I love Cowtown so much. We've got a publication, Cowtown, that we are continuing to develop all the time. But
Yeah.
that's I love that outlet to get to tell the story of your grandpa and your dad and your mom, like the people that you grew up loving and admiring, just in a human sense, like getting to really champion them and show them off and show how quirky and cool and interesting their life path is. I think people really resonate with that because you don't see that highlighted in this way often.
absolutely.
Oklahoma's such a melting pot of people,
Yeah.
right? Like 3 of us here are the example of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's such a great spot, and obviously it's continued to be that too. So like I said, everyone's family history is so different.
Yeah.
And there's always a story there, and whether it's just anything to do with being outdoors on the land, like there's a lot of really cool stuff there. What are those initial conversations like? What are those initial, like, hey, should we do this? What does this look like? What's our direction? Like, hey, if we're going to do this, what are we, like, what does the business look like? We're a year in. I wonder if that's also changed. What was that like?
We've revisited this in a minute. We had that conversation at the shoot, and I think it was just enough for you to realize, like, she might be kind of into this.
Yeah.
And then you called me like a week later, and you were like, do you want to start an agency? And I was like, I think so. Let me think about it. And so I talked to Dusty, and the next day, it was literally like, I don't know, 15 hours later, I was like, yeah. Sounds good. I thought it through thoroughly. Let's definitely do this. I think that was kind of it. And then, go ahead.
Well, I think I already kind of had an idea. One, it's like Allie's expertise and experiences working on bigger sets for these like consumer brands. I knew that was a unique angle she could bring to the local market. And then for me, I just wrapped working in Austin, where a lot of it is like digital marketing based. So it's a lot of focus on social ads, email marketing, and those things, where I knew working in Oklahoma, there's a lot of emphasis on traditional media, right? So it's a lot of it's like radio, broadcast, things of that nature, outdoor billboards. So I knew we had good perspectives we could bring to the local market, and it was like I knew she was kind of that entrepreneurial spirit too, and had that love for Oklahoma. So we just kind of started formulating what we wanted to do. I think Cowtown was a big piece of it from day one. We wanted to make sure we had elements of giving back to the community, building platforms for the community. But then also, how do we do things different? And like in hindsight, it's kind of funny how it all worked out, right? Because I think the first thing we were trying to do is put together an event, which didn't happen. But somehow that became like a big core of our businesses, doing like event marketing and brand activation. So
We'll do that eventually.
Yeah, we'll still do.
We'll call you when we've got that going, and we'll let everybody know. That'll happen eventually.
Missed a huge opportunity with your 1 year anniversary. Just saying.
We did. It's been a little
juggling a few things.
It's been a little crazy.
I think we looked up and we were like, oh my God, it's been a year. Can you believe?
Yeah. No, honestly, I mean, we had a conversation recently, and it was someone who was like wanting us to move on an opportunity to help. It was more collaborative, and I was like, we're so tied up right now. And then I started thinking about, I was like, well, quarter by quarter, how much we've grown in just like the first year. It's like no wonder we're feel like we're not drowning, but it's like constantly like, how do we go and scale? And so, it's been great.
Well, and with your perspective, we'll never not do that. I think that's just going to constantly be true. That's one thing I've learned about Michael. He's like, how can we optimize everything, which I love. I need that impact in my life because I'm like, let's just go do it, you know?
Yeah.
And so how can we always be better? And how can we take like the biggest swing we can take right now?
Yeah.
How can we like look over there and say like, how can we do that? And then we do.
Yeah.
And so that I suspect it's going to always feel a little bit like drinking out of a fire hose, you know?
Yeah.
A little bit. But we both sort of thrive in that.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, in your first year, you've worked with, Michelob, the Thunder, Oklahoma State, OU, like you've worked with, it's a pretty good stuff.
I mean, cool.
Yeah, it's been a good year.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that probably like dream of working with these clients, and you guys are like, yeah, we just kind of started this a year ago. It's a lot more than that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's been 12 months and you're like, no, we're like solidified your spot here in Oklahoma City and like are doing it. And like you said, with your recent post talking about the Philbrook, like not being kind of worried about taking big swings, like I think that's an Oklahoma mentality too.
I agree with that.
100%.
Very much. The grit that it takes to just go for it and kind of reckless abandon, right?
Yeah.
Not be afraid of it. We were just yesterday talking about this, but the most magnetic parts of my life, the most impactful things that each of us in our individual journeys have done have been when we, like I said in that post, act like we have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And that gets harder as you go through life and you do have more to lose. You know what I mean? As you have like more to deal with, the home that you're taking care of, a baby that you're trying, like you have to just like turn that off and still act like that. For me, like that 18-year-old that just is going to move to New York and figure it out. Like if I can tap into her, the coolest things happen. And that's what I love this outlet of Old Pal because it's allowing me a new space to be her again.
Yeah. And I think we're definitely blessed with like a really great community. Like Anheuser-Busch, we wouldn't have gotten that if it was just up to us. But we had really great people that put us in the right spot.
Trusted us.
But part of that was because of the reputation of us taking those big swings throughout our own careers and journeys, and like that kind of got us to have a great year one. So it's been really cool to see. Yeah, that speaks to the people that you both are and the work that you've previously done to get here, right? Like, you're not fresh out of college saying, oh, I think we're going to do an agency. Like, you guys have worked real hard to get to where we're at. And it's really cool to see, but also great for you guys to know that, your peers and the relationships that you've built mean something. Yeah. Right. And it's worth, regardless if, like I said, you took a huge swing and this thing fell flat on its face, those people would still have given you that shot. Right. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to give that, fulfill that opportunity with the talent that you have, which you definitely have.
That's the energy it's been, is like, we better step up to this.
That's the nervy side on your side, right? Well, I'm sure there are times where you're like, are we going to pull this off? Is there people here? You're throwing a Thunder like win party, whatever it is, championship celebration party at the Jones, right? Like all these things, and are we on edge? Are we going to do this? And when I saw you boys from Oklahoma last minute, you're boys from Oklahoma, and I'm like, how's things? And you're like, well, I was in Dallas this morning picking up chairs. Like, what? You're like, but these great stories from your founding first year.
Yeah. Bless you for that, by the way, because so what we didn't say earlier was he called, do you want to start an agency? Yes, for sure. 2.5 weeks later, I was like, oh, I'm pregnant, by the way. It turns out. And so it was a journey.
Startup dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want your other founding.
It was just like have to put everything on like go, all the way go. And so the whole thing with Boys of Oklahoma and with the Thunder Party was right there at I was 2 weeks postpartum and I brought Lucky to and Michael had been, and Dusty, bless him, had been running around getting all that ready. Yeah. And so I got to just kind of like bebop in there and be like,
concept, right?
And then with the finals game, like that was my first thing back from postpartum. So you bless you for all the everything that you did to make those go, because it's really teed us up for everything since.
Because that's traditionally when people think of an agency, that me being not really knowing much about the agency world would have thought that I didn't when I saw you guys founding this, I'm like, oh, that's cool, like you're gonna be doing advertising, and the last thing I thought would have been like hosting events and throwing live, parties
Yeah.
for events. Like, I didn't think of that side. So when I saw you up there, I was like, oh, what are you doing? Because there was like a whole section of people selling hats and all these things. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, Michael's selling some merch. And then you're like, no, I'm like running like the Michael section and moving stuff around. And then I saw you like later that night from the distance, you were like, in the section and doing your thing and hosting. I'm like, oh, this is like a whole different avenue of an agency world that I didn't even know existed.
Well, that was a beautiful thing of like me being able to go to Austin because that's so prevalent down there. And it is a bigger market, right? But and you have a lot more consumer brands. So there's a lot more of that. But man, there's activations going on all the time. And the numbers as far as like brand recall from an event like that, it's pretty crazy. But what's been really cool is even from the getting to work with Anheuser-Busch, we're getting a peek at like some of the numbers. And it's like Michelob Ultra is owning Oklahoma right now.
Oh, wow.
I think, what did they say? Like in the summer, it was like 1 out of 4 domestic.
Yeah.
I'm probably butchering it, so don't quote me on it. But
huge number.
I actually think you're right.
And so it's like all those kinds of brand activations, right? It's like, you don't think of it as an agency thing, but we're seeing a lot of impact with it. Which is cool.
But you're right. It is. I mean, me being on my phone way too much, like I just see like, oh, cool, it's just an influencer shoot or it's a branded shoot or whatever. When you talk about activations, it makes so much sense. And obviously the numbers.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, we just haven't seen it in Oklahoma. As much.
Well, and you think about how much, I mean, I think this is commonly talked about more now, but how much people are missing community.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
a big focus on a lot of fronts of what we're doing, but especially with the experiential marketing side, it's like people want to go live, breathe, feel, taste the brand. And it's just such an open space that we are glad to be filling in the market.
Yeah.
And we got really great partners we're working with, like at Anheuser-Busch, that have let us like take some wild ideas. And so like, I mean, even how the Michelob Ultra tent, how that came about, like was not really like something that they just told us to go execute. It was like something we got to ideate and create and come up with. And then for like the Thunder Final series at the Jones, like they told us they had like a exclusive bottle they wanted to hand out. And they're like, we got about like 10 we can hand out. And that was it. And so we're like, well, okay, like what is this actually?
Now you have 8 because we're getting 1 each.
I mean,
sorry. Yeah.
That's a dirty secret. But
it's exactly what I would have done.
We probably should bring one of them to the office.
I have it.
Okay.
In my closet. I'll bring it.
But anyway, so it was something where like they let us take a swing with it and try out some different ideas, and it's really made an impact. So like even that event we did at the Jones, I know that won, I think, our local regional distributor an award within Anheuser-Busch as best community activation for the year. So that's crazy because they're doing stuff all over the world with, I know NASCAR, with soccer, like all sorts of different fields.
You should explain the connection though, like from you have these 10 bottles and building the concept out, and then how it was executed and how it like brought the community into the. You should explain.
Yeah. So so at like the Jones, right? It's like it's a beautiful patio, beautiful restaurant, but it's like okay, just bottles. Sure, people might correlate that with the championship, but we're like part of it's like we wanted guests to feel like they're in the locker room with the Thunder players, whatever they're celebrating.
And the bottles look like champagne bottles.
Champagne bottles. Yeah.
So we built out like a locker room set, and then it was like, what's that next idea from there? So then we talked about like, well, it'd be so cool if people could like put their names next to like SGA or chat.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's make it like something where they could take a nameplate with them too, and get their photo in the locker room. So it just kept on like spiraling, and then we had to figure out even just like the coordination of like how do you distribute a bunch of bottles and make this moment happen. And the Jones team did a great job of like helping make sure that moment came through. But I just remember, it was obviously such a big moment for the city.
Yeah.
And then for us, it was like, it's also go time because we need to make sure this moment happens, and you can't mess it up, right?
The fan in you wants to enjoy it, but also the business owner was like, we have one shot at this.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember whenever the first bottles started like spraying, I was just like, okay, like it was such a huge relief. I just remember like laughing, and it's like I was still taking photos at the time. I was like, I need to capture all of this.
Yeah.
But it was such a cool moment. Yeah.
Ski goggles, champagne everywhere.
Yeah.
It was sick. It was so fun.
Like, did you take the photo of your one you posted? Such a great photo.
Yeah.
Are you
Such a
spraying
good
him in
photo.
champagne?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because
No, literally, he was like, "Get out there,
like,
take this," and so I was just,
I was like,
Such a good
I think my Nikon's like waterproof enough,
it's
you know?
it's worth it. Yeah.
It is worth it. Yeah, absolutely. So, no, it was so cool. And then walking away from that and looking through the photos, it was like, how many people had Michelob Ultra shirts on?
Yeah.
And like, how many people had Michelob Ultra goggles on? And it's like, and then there's so much emotion on everyone's face. It was
Everyone remembers
Magic.
that night. Everyone that's going to be there, that was there that night, will remember that night.
Yeah.
Right?
It was crazy. There was like a line around the block, I think all the way to Western. And like people were there in the fourth quarter, still waiting for a shot of coming in. It was just an insane series. Yeah.
So awesome.
So
Allie, back to what you were saying, I'm like, I love kind of creating and being able to build a shoot. You know, you're taking that to the next level as far as an activation because it's a live shoot.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything is an opportunity to shoot something.
Yeah.
Crap. And it's not just photography now, it's videography and capturing that moment, right?
Yeah.
And seeing someone, you know, even capturing, you know, people getting, or a kid getting their selfie or something taken next to the locker room and their names above it. Like, all, you know, all these little things, like all these tiny little moments. But you guys come up with these ideas and then, you know, putting it all together. Like there's probably 10, 15 different ideas in that one area, right?
Totally.
That actually got executed. There's 100 other ones. Right. But it's really cool to like build this. I'm sure you probably have more fun doing activations than you do normal shoots. I would assume. I would. I know.
Yes, and it's
depending on how chaotic it is as a
and
you know, like you do get to enjoy it, but you're working. It's a different show.
there's just no like, hey, hang on, we need to.
Can
We
you do that
need to go
again?
grab the. It's So there's a whole lot less control, and it's got to be way teed up before. You got to think about every napkin. You know what I mean? Every little.
I don't think
bit.
either of us were like, this was our skill set before we got on, but I think we're both like, we're going to roll up our sleeves and make sure it gets done. And like, we're, I think, really good at coming up with a really unique idea on the front end. And then our work ethic has like been backing it up. But like when we started Old Pal, no idea this is going to be the thing.
No.
Yeah.
We just being an entrepreneur, you learn to start spotting the holes. And it's worth diving in when there's an opportunity in the market, right? And we are really grateful for like mentors that we have that are able to really help. It would be really scary going into this stuff without someone kind of guiding us that had done this before a lot. So that's huge. Huge.
Absolutely.
Well, and the other thing too that's probably happened over the last year is you got people reaching out to you that, you know, like, hey, come do this now. Like, you know, now, even though in such a short amount of time, it's only been a year, you know, you're lead generating and you're marketing and you're doing your things, staying in the community and posting and whatever it is. But there's a time where that turns, right? And you're like getting phone calls and then you start turning down things because you don't have enough people. You start hiring, which you guys are hiring. So it's a good problem to have. But, you know, when people start reaching out and you're like, oh my gosh, people are noticing like that I haven't spoken to in forever, or someone I thought would never be a client is reaching out, you know, all the things, right? Like you're going to get all these things happen.
But that's been an interesting thing too, is like, how to, well, for a little bit there, we've got to be better about talking about it on our own socials, like more, because you feel like you talked about it to death. And then all of a sudden people will be like, wait, you're doing what now? You know, so that it's been interesting to see a transition out of that and have people be like, hey, we need this, that, the other.
Man, well, you know, like, it's funny you say that because I remember last week I had someone who was a commercial brand. It was like a retail shop, Woodsman Trading. They used to be off North May. And I was doing photography for them and doing their marketing. So I shot this product for a brand that was on the East Coast. And that was maybe 7 years ago, 6 or 7
I know
years
exactly
ago.
what you're talking about.
And they just reached out last week. They're like, hey, we've been following you this entire time. We'd love to chat. They haven't had an outside marketing group yet. And so we had an initial convo with them this week. But it is crazy, like you saying, how people come out of the woodwork. And like, I don't know. It's been really, really fun. It's been really rewarding.
One thing I have learned from just doing the podcast for so long and posting on social media is that people are always watching.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot.
If we could dive into the people that like see our stuff, because we don't have time to look. I mean, if you do have time to scroll your Instagram and look at the amount of people that see your story, then you probably need to do something else. Like you shouldn't worry about the people, you know, personal Instagram pages. That's what I'm talking about. If it's a business reason, then I get it. But like, you know, we're so busy doing things, we never worry or never look at, you know, outside of the client that we have, you know, in our target market, who's watching. People are always watching, and you wouldn't have known until they said, unless they said, hey, we've been keeping an eye on you.
Yeah.
I had the guys on the pod, Ronnie Davis on the podcast, who was one of the Oklahoma Cowboys who did the walk, right? The Paris Fashion Week. And same thing for him. He's like, you know, Louis Vuitton or whoever reached out to him said, yeah, we've had our eye on you for a while.
Yeah.
Making sure that you didn't do anything that we didn't like, but we've just been making sure that like you're a fit for our brand. And now he's like the face of Tacova.
Yeah.
So
you know,
cool.
as well, right?
Yeah.
And all these then doing more stuff with Ralph Lauren, but people are always watching.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
a hard
that's
thing to get through.
one thing like we talk about a lot too is just like the power of doing, like you're saying, like the worst thing you do is just sit there and not take action and just like wait for something to happen to you. But it's like the more you're just out there putting energy out into the world, like it usually finds its way back to you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Has it been difficult for you guys to like you just mentioned, like doing more, talking about it more? Like you're so busy talking about and posting on other clients' stuff that you don't get to post your own content because you're building the funnel, right? Like, because that's one thing that I see, you know, just in agencies in general. Thankfully, cross collaboration on Instagram is a lot easier now.
Yeah.
But in general, like, you know, you go to an agency's page and they're like, you know, we can give you millions of followers and all these things, and they have like 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
I understand why, you know, because they don't have enough time to build their own.
Sure.
And the ones that have spent time to build their own, did they really build it? Who knows? But, you know, there's that, you know, you struggle with that, especially growing pains. You know, you're hiring faster, you're bringing people in, but you also have to focus on filling that pipeline and reminding people who you are and what you do for longevity.
One thing I've loved, I just think it's hilarious, is like, because this summer we were really slow. After we did the rush of like talking about the Thunder series and what we did there, it was really slow. And then one week Allie was like, I just made a reel. And so she made a reel going to Brahms. And it like became their second highest performing reel once they shared it. Yeah. That was like such a random thing. It was like, yeah, we're definitely trying to like, we're building out a team to help us like get more of our own stuff out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't need your own team to do that.
Yeah.
Don't you?
That was cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got to let it, you have to drop needing to be totally perfect and planned, but also you've got to have some structure. And that's where we're like very excited to have someone come on and help us really amplify our own story. Because that's the thing. I'm really excited to tell a lot of this stuff. And people just haven't gotten to hear it. This is cool because we're going to get to talk about it.
Yeah, forcing you to talk about it.
But,
yeah. I guess to that point then, you know, not being able to talk about, you know, everything that you do and talking of the clients and posting more and building that out. I mean, you know, we're just a year in. There's so many, you know, this is going to hopefully last forever. There's a lot of cool things going, a lot of things happening. Huge opportunity here. You know, football season is back around. You guys are doing stuff at OU. Was it chili cook-off last week or something you guys did down there?
It's their tailgate, yeah.
And so there's going to be opportunities. Where do you know, what's the next 6 months look like? How's it been? What are you focusing on? What do you want people to, you know, I don't know, like, let's talk about it. Literally
every week is like totally different.
Yeah,
you know?
It is. I think what we're most excited on, we have our eye on some more event opportunities. We've had those conversations going, which we're kind of waiting on seeing who bites what. I know lots changing in the market, and then like some of those opportunities were circumstantial, right? Like the Thunder making the finals.
Right.
Well, it's way easier when everyone's like, let's make the moment matter. So
winning solves a lot of problems.
Winning solves a lot of problems.
You guys aren't going to be at Oklahoma State anytime soon. Unfortunately, sadly, as a fan and going up this weekend for homecoming, you know, like,
Man.
Well, but now you guys, well, anyways. Oh, so you got your own thing going on.
I know, we got some things.
What was that? Was Section 230?
Oh, they're handing out no shirts now. You see that for this week? Yeah.
Man, legends.
That started. Did you see how that started?
It was like one. Well, I just saw the one guy.
So they found like the guy's sister who like bet him $50 to go do it. And that's how it started.
With a bet.
Yeah. The guy the one guy who started, his sister said, I bet you $50 you won't walk up there and start doing this. And then that's how it started. Which I love. Like it's so they power of social media. They found it.
That's such a good Oklahoma story too, though. Like it was a bet that turned into like something actually cool.
Almost 2 sections of like shirtless men waving their shirts because teams getting destroyed, but we're gonna have some fun here because there's plenty of space in the stadium.
That's the Oklahoma State mentality right there. You're gonna have fun regardless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we got some more events coming up. We're trying to get Cowtown now that Allie's back from maternity leave. We're looking on getting that going, some more stories out there.
Yep.
And then just focusing on the core side of our business, which we originally started with, which is actually doing like branding and marketing and advertising.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's use me as an example. If I came to you and was like, yeah, I mean, just real life example here, and you can charge me for this later. But just for people listening, to give people a look on kind of what it looks like, the services you guys were to do, and for people listening that might have a brand, want to build a personal brand, have a business, whatever it is. I mean, there's so many avenues in today's world of how to make money on the side, and I think everyone, back to what you were saying, is that 18-year-old mentality of like, if I didn't have anything to worry about me, if I didn't have to worry about me losing or failing, what would I do? Right.
Yeah.
That great quote of, whatever it is about failing, and what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Mm-hmm.
What are let's use this as Oklahoma's example.
Yeah.
What would you do? How would your services be applied? Like, just to give people listening transparency of like, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do. And obviously you're going to ask me some certain questions, like what I would like to do. But for example, like, how would that work? What does that look like? And there might be people listening that want to reach out, or a business that needs a rebrand. Is it everything? Is it just a little bit? Like, what is it?
Well, I know
it's a really broad question. I apologize.
No, that's great. You're in such a cool position, right? Because you have a huge following, you have an engaged following, you have content just like constantly coming. So I think the key for you would be like, how are you leveraging that? So I know we talked about engagement rates before we got started, but what's like the call to actions that you're trying to get your audience to do?
Let's say, I mean, the easy one would be merch, but that's such a hard thing to sell in today's world. But the easy one would be the t-shirts and hats, right? Generally. And I haven't done it because I don't have the time to do it. And two, like, when you talk about making big swings, I don't think that is a big enough swing.
Interesting.
Everyone's doing t-shirts and hats, right?
But
I mean, because I think it's a layup, but I don't think it's a big enough swing, meaning the margin there isn't big enough to make money doing it. For the amount of effort you've got to put in to compete with everybody else doing t-shirts and selling a $30 t-shirt or whatever, and I don't, whatever, and $40 hat, all the things. So for me, it's like, okay, how do we build like maybe not a TV show, but maybe a series? Route 66 is coming up next year. I just bought a car with the excuse, the man math is like, oh, I'm totally going to do a Route 66 series with this car. I am, but I bought the car for me, I guess maybe mine isn't a good example because I don't know what to do, but there's so many options for me.
Totally.
Right?
You could go a lot of different ways. And that would be like the first thing, right? Is figuring out what do you need and what do you want, and being able to narrow down.
Okay, Mike, what do we want to do today? Bringing me
but what does any specific brand specifically need? We're here to solve problems.
Yeah. And it goes all the way down to like website design, logo design, everything. For some of the clients that you have already, you're running their social media accounts, right? Like you're doing a lot of cool. It's not just, and then so we have events, all the things. Maybe this is a talk after this, and then I will be paying you.
No, it's good. It's good. Because
I'm trying to give people listening a practical example of like, hey, this is who we are. This is what we can do.
Something I will say, something that's been fitting for most of the clients that come in the door lately is making sure that we expand what we're creating for them through multiple channels and making sure that's all well integrated for a really clear, easily recognizable brand. And so for most of them, it's been a fit to say you need social media. You can't get away from needing social media, and being very clear that that's not a sales channel per se, but really great for building your brand. And then email marketing. I think a lot of people sleep on email marketing, using that as a driver for sales, and then understanding the changing SEO landscape and how important that is to be pushing and doing well on their site.
Yeah. A lot of what I got to do before Old Pals work with consumer brands where it's all focused on what they call like omni-channel approach, which is like, how do you have all of your different channels, whether it's your emails, your social media, breaking down your social media by channel, right? But it's like, you want to push your customers to a desired outcome, right? Having customers and audience is great, but like at the end of the day, you need them to do something for you. You're driving a lot of value through this podcast, but you need people to do something for you too. So what we do is like a lot of customer journey mapping. And then like, I think my experience was like optimizing. So making sure that they're really, really, it's not just like, is the content pretty enough, but like, how is it being delivered? How's it being packaged? Where is it going and when? And then like, what's the messaging and the angle of it? So yeah, I think for what we bring to the table, and like even in this, it'd be like, what's the biggest one for you?
Yeah.
And then we can map out everything from there on.
Yeah.
Here's the best approach to get there.
Yeah. I mean, being my industry, my day job being real estate, that would probably be it, right? Like, how do we, and I think the tagline, I think still to this day on the Instagram is like convincing people here to move here, right? That was the initial reason to start the podcast, was for me to meet real estate clients.
So how much of your audience is in Oklahoma versus out of?
I have no idea.
Okay.
0. I mean, I can figure
That'd be
that
interesting
out.
to look at.
Yeah, it'd be
I can
really
look at it
fascinating to
live
look
and
at
figure it out, but I mean,
yeah, that'd be like easy step one is like, let's look through your social media data and see like, where's your audience at? And then how do we tailor our messaging or catering the, approach you're doing with posting to like reach more out of state audiences that are looking to move. So is it young professionals, young families? Like who's the main demographic moving to Oklahoma? And then, go from there.
Okay. So if I go to followers, 19.3% out of Oklahoma City, 12.6% Tulsa, Edmond is 4.3%, Norman is 3.4%, and then Broken Arrow. So let's say, that's 20, 30, like, I mean, 20, what's that, 32, like roughly 40, 50% that are definitely in Oklahoma City. I mean, 95% of them are in the States. Not shocker, but so let's say 45%, and then I would go age demographic is heavy between 25 to 34 is 25%, 35 to 44 is 28%, and then 45 to 54 is 18%. So like it's heavy 18 to 54, which is home buying rate.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So and then 57% women, 43% men, which generally is the norm, right? On social media, women spend more time on social media than guys, but that's just in the last 30 days. So
I mean, maybe it's just like figuring out the messaging of like looking for those people who are early on in their careers and their families that are looking to upgrade their homes, right, in Oklahoma. But there's different ways to attack that. But
options. Also,
that's cool.
Do I want to do that?
Right. No, totally fair. Yeah.
Because I love the book and I've read it way too many times. Blue Ocean Strategy. Have you read that book? It's just basically about like everyone does things the same way and they all live in a red ocean. So, like businesses have always done things. This is the way they do business. And then a blue ocean is like totally off the wall, like totally different way to do business. Airbnb would be an example, right? Like hotels and so Uber and stuff like that. So your blue oceans is like, you're just like, wow, this is so far off the wall, but it actually works. And so how do you do that differently, whether it's whatever industry you're in? And I think the real estate market is like, real estate industry is something that has been done the same way for a very long time and needs to be turned upside down.
Absolutely.
As much as possible, which I am here to do. I'd love to do it and distribute it and disrupt it. Just a side observation.
On the real estate side, is it only on social that you're pushing that?
Yeah, pretty much. And to be honest, I really don't like market like houses much at all. Like my house selling comes from friendships and relationships.
And that's a traditional
model. And it always has been that way. And I've never got like serious about like, I'm a real estate agent. I do this 9 to 5. I do this, I don't like it just and that's also a reflection of generally the way I flow through life. Right. Like we talked earlier about, doing 740 episodes of the podcast. Like it's probably, other than my golf game, it's the most consistent thing I've done because I just love doing it. And like houses are fun, but it's not. And because of the podcast, I'm fortunate enough to not have to rely on a paycheck from real estate all the time, right? I think it would be different if I was kind of pushed into a corner and like, burn the boats, you're just a real estate agent.
Right.
Like, oh boy. So yeah, I think that comes, and I think also I think we generally as a society get comfortable Right? Like you have a little bit of success and like, but it's, you need to maintain that like day one mentality of like, okay, like let's keep pushing. And I just don't like, like that's probably, and the other reason I bought the car too was like, I'm going to reverse motivate myself to make some money because I got to buy. It's like such a bad way to motivate yourself. Right?
Like
I'm going to get into debt and then I'm going to have to pay this debt
I'm
off.
trying to get into golfing and I had to buy the skirt first. Like I needed to get the little outfit.
Golf clothing is so
expensive. And now I want
to go. Yeah, you're like, that golf clubs, the clothing, the good thing is you live in the country, you have a wide open space to hit as many golf balls as possible.
That's so true.
But I think there's cool things around everything that we do, right? But I think that when you come back to just the mentality of like being an entrepreneur and having to push, not being comfortable. I get comfortable, I get way too comfortable, and I'm selfish. I like to go play golf. I want to go travel.
But I will say that's a lot of the value that we can bring to people is
Absolutely.
if you don't want to do that, we can do that for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I hear you on getting comfortable, but sticking with any kind of project that long, seriously, there's it takes some grit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's definitely days where I'm like up until midnight editing, and I'm like, this has to go out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or, I'm just like, do I want to do this? And it's funny, we talked a little bit about like doing a little bit of influencer campaigns or just one-off reels to promote stuff. Yeah. And it's the one time where I my videos have to go through editing scrutiny and I've got to send it back and they like, oh, can you edit this? I'm like, why? It's fine. But the agency on the other side has to justify what they're doing, not you guys, but the other agency that I've used.
Easy agency trick. Before you sign the contract, you set up number of rounds of revisions. After that, you charge extra.
Done. Okay, I'm gonna start doing that. But it's and the edits are justified too. But it's more of just me having that feeling of like somebody's telling me what to do now.
Yeah.
I haven't had that for a long time. Which is the reason I don't like generally working for others. I like to work for myself.
Yeah, you're an entrepreneur.
Which is the main reason. But no, that the thing with like when if I were to come to you and say, hey, I have this as Oklahoma, it generally has a direction, but it sounds like we go through a whole revision of like, where do you want to do? What do you want to do? Put a plan together, hammer at that plan.
Well, the fact that
bring people into Oklahoma from California. Yeah. Whatever the goal is.
The fact that you mentioned is a blue ocean. And
blue ocean strategy.
That's kind of our thing is usually the wins are like in the areas that no one else is doing. So, I mean, Allie, like starting a swimwear company in Oklahoma, for me, I was like, let's do candles that are somehow about Oklahoma and like for men, right? It was like very random, but usually that's where a lot of opportunity is when you're doing it completely different than everybody else.
Yeah. The other thing too, I think, you guys, we talked a little bit about it earlier, just the community aspect of Oklahoma and the community aspect. And I know you guys have a playlist too, right? On Spotify that you've been sharing. I was at your coffee morning the other day.
Yeah.
It's not just hey, we do this, hire us or you're never going to see us. Like, you guys want to build community and have friendships and maintain these stories and create stories too around everybody that you meet and the things that you do. And even, that's the first coffee morning I've been able to make it to, but I met two people I'd never met before and I'm like, well, these guys doing such cool stuff. Like there's so, and you guys know that because of the community you create, but there's so many people creatively doing cool stuff here.
Yeah. Totally.
So what's that been like being a host and hosting community and building your own community, your old kind of fan base as well?
Well, and getting everybody in the same, you never know how you're going to be able to help that other person. You know what I mean? That's what I love about like our breakfast club and Good Company. Breakfast club, if you're a 7:30 in the morning person and you want to come sit at the coffee shop or at the barber shop and have coffee with us, that's your vibe. And Good Company is like the after work crowd. But same thing. It's like, how can we get all these people who are doing cool things in the same room and share resources and hear what everybody's got going on and support each other,
Yeah, for like the breakfast club, for me, even doing tall grass, right? There's like a lot of questions I had about how to build a business, right? And some of it was like really minute. I didn't need someone to tell me how to pour candles, but it was like, who's a good CPA to recommend, or how should I handle this issue with the supplier? Like these things. So I want to find a community because it's like, I feel like, especially as entrepreneurs, it feels kind of lonely sometimes. And you're talking with a lot of entrepreneurs, so maybe it's different for you, but I know a lot of people feel
it is lonely because you don't talk about your own stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm talking about your stuff the whole time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, this is kind of nice because I get to like chat about my stuff a little bit, but it's the first time in forever I've actually done that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah, and I think as guys too. I mean, maybe it's different for guys versus women. I would assume it's different for guys, but we don't talk about our problems a lot enough.
Mm.
Right. So
Yeah.
especially on entrepreneurs, like we talk, we just kind of keep it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And whether that's just struggles of feeling like we're not enough or wanting to, as a guy, you kind of feel like you have to provide.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like those are the struggles that we would probably have. Maybe it's probably different for you, but maybe it's the same,
No,
a version of the same struggle.
No, I agree. I think the girl group that I've got here, we're really open about that. We like get together and have martini and we talk about it. We gripe about it. We talk about it. So I think it's a cool thing to watch. And it is heavily men at a lot of these. But you structured it in a way that we like open it up the room. We make everybody talk. What what do you need today, and make that not like no barrier there. You've got it's your turn. What do you need to ask?
Yeah. So that's kind of been the format. So everyone gets a chance to pose a question to the group, and everyone gets a chance to ask. And even if we're all in different industries, it's like the problems are more or less the same. It's just different packaging, you know. So it's a good chance to like learn and get help.
Yeah. Well, and I'm really grateful for my group. I have a group of female business owners, creatives here in the city that are wonderful. And I've seen how having that group has elevated everyone else. Like there's just more when there's more when there's more. You know what I mean? And so creating that around Old Pal has been really neat and we want to keep growing it. But I'm such a believer in like the more you share, the more you get. And it has only proven to be more true all the time.
Yeah. I should have asked you this at the start. When did you come up with the name and how did that come about? I know you probably get that asked that a million times, but
This is how it went.
want it on record.
This is how it went. Michael said, cool, you want to do this? Great. Okay, what should we call it? And I was like, we should have said maybe Old Pal. I was like, you know what you want it to be called. And so it was Old Pal.
I did. Yeah. I think after Tall Grass Supply, right, it's like a long to mouthful. So I know I wanted to be short and concise. And there's it's a CBD brand in California. I've loved their branding for a while. And then there's an old fishing tackle box called Old Pal from the 60s. It was like a line of fishing gear called Old Pal. And then when I was down in Austin, there's a bar in Lockhart called Old Pal. And like it kept on popping up in my life. And like I knew we wanted to take it on from like a lot of agencies are really trying hard to be like modern and like we're like seeing the future. And I'm like, well, we got really good ideas and strategies, but like we want to be really approachable and friendly and honoring like our smaller town roots. And so it was like it just felt like the perfect like antithesis of what everyone else is doing. So.
Well, and it very much serves like it feels exactly right for who we talk about wanting to work with. You know what I mean? I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My great grandma namesake Allie was an entrepreneur and a female entrepreneur in the 60s. And then my dad and my grandma, and you same way. Like, I think we have a real passion for, they've done it right for so long, shaking hands, being pillars in their community, like word of mouth advertising. And all of a sudden, wham, here comes the digital age that's totally changing what their whole landscape looks like. And I think those are our pals. Those are our people, my friends' dads, you know what I mean? That you want to help do these things. And so I think it just like feels exactly right, the name for who our inspiration for this whole thing is.
Yeah. And the stories centered, or the older generation stories centered around that. Like when I think of Old Pal, I think of just some crusty old guy who's been doing his thing for like forever.
I love that.
And he's just like this, like a black and white photo shoot or video. Like he's just telling stories, sitting on the side of like just sat in front of his barn that's been there since the tested time or whatever. And you're just like, that's what comes to my mind when I think about it.
Well, that's the thing I really loved is like we've worked together, talked about everything. It's like, there's a whole stereotypes about like new money, and it's like the people that are flashing, it's like they're not the ones with like that success. They're fronting. And it's usually like those old guys sitting in front of at the corner store. In a small town that have like one crazy story.
300,000 miles on their truck. They're wearing the same pair of jeans they won all year.
But they have probably more success than like Anyways,
my favorite kind of people. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And what a cool thing to get to bring what we have done in other markets and learned outside of here back and say, like, here's how we can help you have more time with your family. how we can help you keep up in this digital landscape. And really amplify your brand. So that's the passion behind it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. People listening, how do they find you?
At Old Pal ADV. The short of advertising.
Yeah.
Cut Old Pal ADV. There you go.
Yeah. We're on Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
And then our website's oldpaladvertising.com. So,
Brilliant.
yeah.
It's awesome. Thank you so much. So happy for you both to do this. And I'm like, go back to that moment, walk into the coffee shop. And I was just like, hang on a second. Something is happening. I like stumbled into your conversation. Like, hey guys, you're really deep into it. You're like really into something. I'm like, read the room. Okay. Great to see you both. Get back to it. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that you guys were like doing something big was coming. So
yeah, that was a cool moment.
Yeah.
You gotta witness.
Right. Love that you're in. Wish you all the best, the most success possible, doing great things. Just it's awesome. And to have family involved, to have your kid grow up around it.
Yeah.
And to have all the things that this business will provide, friendships, community, relationships, stories that will stand the test of time. It's really cool to have, and I'm happy to be a witness to it. So thanks so much for allowing me to come in and share the story for an hour. I'm excited to just keep doing it, keep sharing the story. I'd love seeing what you guys will do. People listening, go to the website. It'll be linked below, and your socials will be linked below too if you guys want to see some awesome shoots. And we'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at OklahomaHOF. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my 2 pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my 2 golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC, and hopefully our pups will run into each other.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.